first one we discussed was that the first action that they can take to support children who are neglected by the family is investing in their education, right? Because if they don't have education, they become ignorant to some responsibilities that need to maintain, such as not getting an STD or not having unwanted pregnancies. They help them to gain qualifications. So if they're neglected by their parents, such as homeless children, they have a better chance of improving their self-esteem and employment chances regardless. Alright, that's the first one. The second one, the action that they could take is to invest in parenting skills for those parents who are neglecting their child. Right? Because if I am being educated on how my actions hurt my child, obviously then I get some reintegration because I will know how I can support them better. So in extreme circumstances, if the parents don't want to improve and take better care of the child, guess what happens? The child simply gets taken away from the parent. All right, that's the second one. And the third one, overall, is poverty. You could really just choose the three main themes: poverty, education, and social agencies. So a lot of the times, children are neglected because of what? Financial issues. They can't raise a child, so they just take it out on that child. So this can lead to, for example, damages to that child. So what they need to do is to invest in these communities. So if poverty is tackled, social problems will improve. So they can invest in charities, which main goal is to actually support children who are in these situations. So it's poverty, education, and social agencies. You could really pick apart and explain based on what I said in each passage. Any questions? No questions?
Okay.
Alright. So remember, I always use the textbooks. So really and truly, I should have been using the second version as well, which is Caribbean Social Studies 2. So let me just quickly explain how these textbooks work. So some textbooks have better advantage than others. So if, for example, if you're studying family, I'd advise you to use book 1, right? If you're gonna be studying section B, which is, for example, let me show you the topics. Let me just quickly go to page 1 so you can see the topics. If you're gonna be studying section B, which is development and use of resources and regional integration, I suggest you to look at book 2, right? Because this is where you learn about Caribbean integration, global links, economic growth, etc. And if you're going to be looking at section 3 now, which is going to be, let me show you quickly. It's supposed to be my email. 1 second. Here we go. We're going to be looking at section 3, which is communication, consumer affairs, and tourism. I highly advise you to do what? To go through book 3. So I can give you these books again if you don't have them. 1 second.
So the only book I have, I think, is the Purple Revision Guide.
Oh, you only have that one? Alright, let me share it to you now. Because I will forget. Let me just share it to you guys now. Share it. 1 second. Get link. Anybody? Link. There you go. 1 second. Alright, let's continue. So those are the three links. You can copy them, Tristan, and just paste it in the group for me, alright?
Okay, sir.
Alright, so let's continue now. So the next question says members of a primary group interact closely with each other. This interaction is essential for social control. List two examples of a primary group. What are primary groups, Tristan?
The group that they have the same goals, sir.
Right.
Okay.
I see where you're heading at. So, like-minded groups. Let's go to the page for you. Primary groups. 1 second. 1 second. Primary. 1 sec. Alright, sorry about that. So, a primary group is a group that is formed by either family or a relationship by social interaction. So, let's say, for example, you and I go to school together and we do the same subject. Because of that interaction we formed, that's a primary group. Understand?
Yes, sir.
Right. But what would be a secondary group though?
So probably like a whole school.
Can you repeat that?
So like a whole school.
Right. Right? So if I don't directly interact with you, we are still a part of a collective, right? That would be a secondary group. So there are large groups that are impersonal, but they're still goal oriented. So even though, let's say Karen and a senior one student don't interact, they're still a part of a secondary group because they have the same goal of achieving an education. Alright? So the difference mainly is that between primary and secondary there is less interactions. So which group has the most interaction, do you think? Is it primary or secondary?
Group.
The primary group. Excellent.
Because it's like they have intimate face-to-face relations.
Excellent. Right. Next question says the question said give two examples. So we really did. We said example of secondary would be Tristan or Karen and a senior one student, and then example of a primary group would be Tristan and Karen or Tristan and Jadali, because you guys are doing the same subject, so you are really a part of the having a close knitted relationship.
Which sir, so what two other examples be the family or a classroom?
Excellent. Yes, that's actually one of the recommended examples, right? If you use an example that has a family involved, right, or social life involved, that's a primary group. All right. So it says explain two ways in which primary groups exercise social control over their members. So let me give you a scenario. If I am a part of a classroom and Tristan and I are in a primary group, how does the classroom really control or dictate how our relationship will go? Any guesses?
Wait, sir, can you please repeat?
If Tristan and I are in a classroom and we are students, right? How does the primary group of being students have a social control over us? Like, what exactly
Sir,
about?
there could be like rules implemented.
Excellent. There are certain standards and norms. Remember the word norms, right?
So there could be like rules and sanctions as well. So way one would be rules, way two would be sanctions.
Excellent. You got it. Because if I don't study, for example, what happens? Will become what? Wouldn't I face judgment or what's the better way to put it? Punished. Right? So there are punishment or incentives involved that would control my behavior. So one way is through punishment, and the next would be through reward. It's directly proportional. Because if I study more, there's an incentive for me because I will achieve success. Then another way of controlling me would be if I study less, I would have a risk of facing punishment. Understand?
Sure.
Okay, good. All right, but just for clarity, let me just give you some notes quickly. Quickly give you some notes. 1 second. So write this for me. 1 second. 1 second. It's loading. All right, let's continue now. So the groups maintain control over each other. The groups maintain control over each other through existence of shared values and concern for one another. The groups maintains control over each other through existence of shared values and concern for one another.
Excuse me, sir. What time will this class end today?
It's gonna end at 2.
At 2, okay.
Yeah? So you have 5 more minutes quickly. Primary groups are held together by shared values, norms, and responsibilities. Because you do know you are accountable for your classmate, right? If anything goes wrong, they would ask Karen, why didn't your classmate come today? And if they would probably ask you, what happened to such and such. I'm pretty sure that happens to you before, right? If they don't see your friend come to school,
Yes,
who they ask first? You. What happened to your friend? That's your accountability there. These values can range from friendship. These values can range from friendship, intimacy, and environmental goals. All right. Next question. State 2 characteristics of a formal group. Tristan, yes. 2 characteristics of a formal group. You gonna give me the first one?
Rules and regulations and
Wait, can you repeat?
yes, having rules and regulations and having the same goals. Right?
Right. Okay. So, 1 second. Let me just. So having ideals. 1 second. Second. So having ideals in terms of well-defined rules, and guess what's the next one? Having an organizational structure. All right. Those are the 2. So well-defined rules and organizational structure. That means if I'm a part of a formal group that is, for example, like a school, I have to know what is the hierarchy of a school. What do I mean by hierarchy? Second. Welcome back. Let's quickly wrap up this question. So my question was, it says well-defined rules and organized. It says well-defined
Sir, will you
rules.
please continue screen sharing?
Sure. So the question says, 2 characteristics of a formal group, And we said that the two are well-defined rules and organizational structure. And I said organizational structure really means the hierarchy. Let me spell it for you. It is HIERARCHY. That means hierarchy. Anybody know what the definition of hierarchy means?
So basically, like, it's a structure that shows who has the most authority to who has the least.
Exactly. And typically we use a diagram. So I can give an example of a hierarchy diagram. Let's go here. So a company, for example, like a CEO would be at the top, and then the janitor would be at the bottom, for example. Alright? It shows you order of importance. Alright? Okay. Let's see if we can fill in one more question. It says, suggest 3 strategies a recreational club may use to develop better community spirit. So really and truly, I'm going to give you this for homework. Suggest 3 strategies a recreational club may use to develop better community spirit. Explain why each strategy you suggested can develop a better community. And I'm going to give you a tip to answer this question before you go. Alright, finished?
Yes, sir.
So, what I want you to do, I want you to go to the textbook
Hope you're having a good day.
of Social Studies Caribbean 1, and you're going to go underneath to Unit 1. Right? Unit 1. Let me scroll down. And the answer to this question is in the textbook. Right? So complete that question and send it to me as early as possible. And we're going to just keep doing this. So if you want another session, we can try to have one soon. I'm not sure what exact date, but I'll give you guys when I have further info. Alright?
Thank you, sir.
Alright. So let's finish up the paper for me. Let me see how much questions we have left. So Tristan's supposed to almost be finished. So when you're finished, Tristan, just send me. So let's finish up this question for homework, and then we're gonna continue next class, finishing up the rest of the paper. Alright? Here's another example of a hierarchy as well. The queen will be at the top, and then now the legislative, executive, and judicial will be below. Alright, see you guys next class.
So I was wondering if you got a chance to mark the test I did like a couple weeks ago.
Right. Let me send you your grade. Thank you for reminding me. Because remember, I don't have access to the portal, so I might have slipped my mind to just give you to your email. Let me just do that, alright?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.